Clemson versus UNC preview and prediction. It's going to be an exciting game. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be, exciting because this is one game where Dabo Swinney is excited about it because he's never coached against Mac Brown. And I believe UNC's got some positives. They're definitely a team that can stick around till the end of the game.
You think so, huh? I'm not so sure that I agree with you there. North Carolina coming off a loss to App State, and let's be real, it's a decent App State team. It's not, it's not like they're terrible or anything. I think they're licking their wounds a little bit after they started 2-0, and they've had a little rough go of it here lately. They failed to complete a big comeback against Wake Forest, on the road. Couldn't muster enough to beat App State like we talked about. So I don't think this is a real good week for them to try to get well, so to speak. Their offense has been doing okay behind Sam Howell. I actually like what I've seen from him so far. Their defenses, it's done a pretty good job. But again, they haven't faced a Clemson offense or a Clemson defense yet this year. So I think they're kind of in for a rude awakening. I think it's going to be a typical Dabo game. I think we're going to kind of get up early, play a ton of backups, maybe get the Tar Heels a chance to sneak in a few garbage points near the end. But I don't think it's going to be enough to cover the spread. What about you?
Well, I say that they're going to stick around because it seems like the past couple of games they've been losing, and then basically have claimed that they've ran out of time. They're mounting their comeback. It's an interesting game because I watched I believe their game against App State, and I watched their game against South Carolina. It's Sam Howell's not a bad quarterback. He's having a good year so far. Dabo Swinney said he recruited him. He's kind of there with Tyson Pumachan and was looking to go for him, but then he ended up going to UNC. He's 75 he has 75 completions on 117 attempts, over 1,000 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So not a bad stat line there. Mm-hmm. He's definitely like one of those run pass option type guys, but if you watch it, he's in the shotgun, and he either gives the ball off to the running back or it's a pass play. It's rare that he ever runs the ball, and it kind of lulls the defense to sleep in a sense because he doesn't have bad rushing stats. He does have a couple of 15-yard rushes, and that's usually because later on in the game he's either consistently thrown the slant, consistently handed off, and then they're expecting that so much that he then runs it. And there were a couple of plays, especially against App State, where the entire defense pushed to one side because they just knew he was handing the ball off. And that was like the one time he didn't hand the ball off and he ran it. But I really don't feel like, even though he has a lot of rushing attempts, he's not really like a threat in the rushing game, especially against Clemson defense the way it is in that 3-3-5. I think Clemson's defense matches up really well against them. They have 2 really good running backs. Javonte Williams, Michael Carter. Michael Carter is dangerous in the return game. Looks really good. So I'm interested to see how Clemson will handle the 2 running backs being 2 decent running backs and the quarterback that constantly does the run pass option or the read option. And then on the defensive side of things, they have a guy named Miles Dorn that's kind of like an Isaiah Simmons. I say that because he seems to be all over the field for him. He's their leading tackler, but I don't say that in the sense that he's not a first-round draft pick by any means. He's still pretty rough around the edges. If you notice, he misses a lot of plays and over pursues in a lot of plays. So he's not as polished as Isaiah Simmons, but he's kind of like their type of player. I believe Dabo did recruit him as well. But I look for the Tar Heels to continue to fight till the end. I look for them to try to make a push towards the end. The only thing is, towards the end, you're probably playing against Clemson's second string or third string, just based on history so far this year, right? They've had a hard time stopping anybody. Check this out. With almost 400 yards allowed per game. And they're not playing Clemson's of the world. So right. I think this is going to be really dangerous for them because Clemson is such a unique team in the sense that they have a superstar running back and they have more than just one superstar wide receiver. And that's where Clemson really gets you. The question for me is, they're going to beat them. We know that. We're going to predict that. But can they beat them by more than 27, right? They got to beat them 27 or more. The spread right now is 26.5. I got to go with a hot hand, man. Other than Jimbo Fisher, Clemson would be 4-0 against the spread. So I'm going Clemson again. I think it's going to be a big game for Trevor Lawrence. If you look at what App State did, man, those slant passes were open all day. Those across the middle passes, open all day. One-on-one passes, Clemson's already good at those. So those are going to be open as well. I feel like Trevor Lawrence is going to get to play longer. Man, he left the game like the first quarter last week, I believe. So I hope to see number 16 on the field more than that.
Yeah.
I believe that Travis Etienne's going to do really well. They had a hard time stopping that App State rushing attack. And so I think this is a type of team defensively is not going to be able to match up against Clemson. And I think Clemson's defense is just so versatile that they will be able to adjust and play well against that North Carolina offense. So I am going with the hot hand. I am going with Clemson to cover the spread. Al, what did you say? Did you say Clemson's going to cover the spread?
Yeah, I do think they're going to cover the spread. Like you said, the slant passes, the short, quick stuff was open all day. Only problem with that is Clemson never seems to run any of that stuff, but they do run the one-on-one stuff a lot. I think they'll make some big plays. Hopefully they can use the middle of the field a little bit if they feel they need to this week. Running game should have a good day. I'm taking Clemson minus the 27. Final score prediction, Clemson 55, North Carolina 17.